at Home Depot. He literally knuckled up, and we were getting ready to throw down. And I said, dude, I'm never going to have this conversation with you again if you cannot talk to me like a man. And he instantly apologized. But for that split second, for that split second, the emotion was so high that we were going to fight. Dude, and I'm not joking, one of the most regretful experiences of my life was one of the fights that we had. It was a fight that started over when the Gospels were written. You know, so like Mark is the earliest gospel that was written, but it was written at least 30 years after the crucifixion of Christ.
You say that's one of the most regretful situations that you've ever been in, but now hindsight being 2020 as it is, from what I've gathered, doesn't your father respect you even more now?
But this event that I'm talking about is something that's different than the event that happened at Home Depot. This is something that was very, 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 very. I'm still sorry to this day that this happened on this day. We were at my grandparents' house, and it was the day before my grandfather was going in for a surgery that ultimately he lost his life to. So this event that we were at this house, at the house, was supposed to be a let's be together possibly one last time, which it was one last time, ended up in a religious fight to the point where my father actually again said, you want to take this outside? To the point where I was like, you know what? Screw this, dude. I'm leaving. And it was all over something as stupid as how early the Gospels were written. You know, my father seems to think that they were possibly eyewitness testimony. And I said, not even biblical scholars believe that. Christian biblical scholars don't even believe that.
And you know, it's fine if someone wants to have that conversation. That's fine. Let's not do that at this particular time. Like you were saying, I'm sorry, I'm starting to get a little bit choked up myself because I don't think I've shared it on this particular podcast, but I'm sure I will in the future. But you know where I'm coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not have this fucking conversation right now.
Right.
This isn't the time. This is not the place, and I don't appreciate it.
Right. And that's exactly what my wife kept saying. My wife kept saying, he's doing this to piss you off, but you're letting him. You need to stop it. And I didn't. We kept going, and we kept going, and we kept going. And it was the most inappropriate time to have that conversation. And to this day, it kills me inside that was like the last time I saw my grandfather at his house. And my last memory of me being at my grandfather's house while he's still alive was a huge blowout over something as dumb as how early the Gospels were written.
Well, let me, now that it's weighing heavy on my heart, I'm going to do the 2-minute explanation, or hopefully it's going to be less than that, explanation of why this particular subject is really particular to me in person. What was it? Oh, goodness. It was almost a year, or more, just more than a year ago. I mean, I'm sure you remember me talking to you about this, Bobby, and at my grandmother's burial. Now, granted, she was 96 years old. At her burial, one of my aunts assigned it. That was the time, literally in the wake, which if you don't understand what a wake is, for the Christian faith or whatever, I'm sorry, I'm already starting to get a little bit upset. That was the time, staring with my grandmother sitting in her casket, me looking at her. One of my aunts decided that was the time, staring at my dead grandmother, that she was going to bring me to Jesus.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, not exactly the best time.
Absolutely wrong timing.
Yeah. If you want to have this conversation, let's have this conversation sometime, not staring at a dead body.
Yes.
Regardless if it's my grandmother or not. Let's not have this conversation right now.
Why don't you just let me mourn properly before we bring up this topic?
Well, not only mourn properly, I have my arm around my mom, my arm around my sister, and I'm trying to comfort them while trying to remain somewhat presentable.
Mm-hmm.
which isn't necessarily something that's presentable as I'm blubbering because my friggin' grandmother is dead.
Right.
Probably not the best time to talk about this particular thing. Let's just be sad that she's no longer with us. Sorry.
No, I totally agree.
Now that I've done the best to suck the energy out of the conversation you were saying.
Oh, and but now my father and I are able to respect each other's positions and actually what I consider to be fun. I don't know if he considers it to be fun, but I think the most amazing thing.
What you and I consider to be fun is probably not fun for most people.
Right.
And we do that all the time.
Right. But one of the things that I really respect my father for doing is one time he called me over, just me, and he said, I just want you to sit down and explain the process to which you lost your faith. This was a 7 to 8 hour conversation. It was long, and we went through everything you can possibly think of. Positions on politics and how I think that the reason why a lot of people hold specific positions strictly has to do with nothing more than religion. The reason why my father doesn't like or doesn't want was against same-sex marriage is strictly a religious position. Your religion is causing you to be bigoted. That is not okay. So we went into different conversations like that. It was very, very, very emotional. It was very, but it was a very good thing because now he totally understands my position. He has finally stopped asking to take my children to church, which was a very, 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 very thing that I hated. I am their parent. If I want my children to go to church and have a faith-based life, I will take them to church, not somebody else.
Now let's talk about your dad's religion. Actually, finish your point, and then let's talk about your dad's religion.
Sure.
I had some actual questions about that, but please continue.
So when I told my father that we were raising our children to be free thinkers, this is where it's going to go full circle, I guess. My father said, well, if you're teaching them to be free thinkers, why don't you ask Mila, if she would like to go to church? And I said, if I do that, she has to provide me a reason if she says yes, which she did. I said, would you like to go to church with Papa and Lita, which is what she calls my mother and father? And she said yes. And I said, you have to tell me why you want to go to church. And only here is where I will determine whether or not you can go to church with them. And she goes, because I want to color. And I said, honey, you can color here at home. You don't need to go to church to color. And I go, that's not why you go to church. You do not go to church so you can color. And she, again, I don't want her to go somewhere to be indoctrinated if she doesn't understand why she's going. The only reason why she would be going is so my parents can, whisper in her ear, this is what you're supposed to believe. And
which Mila's what?
Mila's only 7. And this probably happened when she was probably 5 or 6.
So she doesn't know.
And I really had no intention of letting her go, but I was very interested in figuring out why she would want to go to church. And her reason was because she liked the color. And she said that because when she was younger, even younger than that, maybe 3, when we went to church, that's what she did. She colored.
Yeah. And
that's not what you go to church for. So if my parents want to take her to church so she can sit there and color, no. You can color at home.
They could easily do that at their home.
Right. And
if they want to spend time with them, that's, they can easily do that there without your parents being in the pews while Mila's in the back room going to Sunday school.
Right. And so, when Mila comes up to me on her own and says to me, Dad, I'd like to go to church. And I'll say, cool, what one? And we'll do it together, and we are going to have a discussion about it when we're done. Because the day she brings up religion is the day she's going to open up the floodgates to know and understand about all religions, including, And I don't like to consider this a religion because it's not. But if we're going to go in belief systems, we're also going to go in non-belief systems. She's going to understand, because she's 7, and she understands that there are people in this world that believe in God and do not believe in God, and that mom and dad are people that do not believe in God. So she understands that much. And I personally, I can't wait till she's old enough to ask the questions.
And I can't either. And with that, I would like to try to bring this to a close, because I know it's getting late for you, Bobby. Well, actually, we're in the same time zone, so I know it's getting late for me. I know it's getting late for you. I'm going to give it over to you. What are the things you want to plug? What are the things that you actually want to talk about for our listeners, both yours and hopefully whenever I share this with your listeners, with your permission? What are the things that you want to talk about? Give it 3 minutes. It's all you. I'm going to shut up. Go.
Damn, that's a hard one. Well, you've been plugging my radio show, Strange Frequencies Radio, although I'm going to suggest that people go to strangefrequenciesradio.wordpress.com, because that is like the strict, that's where we have all of the show notes, and we have direct links. We have the entire archive there. You can get like the iTunes link. You can get the direct Dropbox link if the streaming for some reason doesn't work. That's all I have. I don't have 3 minutes.
Well, I will actually, I'll actually chime in here. If you want to have more interaction with me personally, 9 times out of 10, whenever you go to the strangefrequencies.net, sorry. Again, like I said, I'm actually in my 4th beer for this recording.
Yep, strangefrequenciesradio.net.
Interesting. If you go to strangefrequencies.net.
No, radio.net. You're forgetting the radio.
Radio, you do it.
Strangefrequenciesradio.net. If you go to click live on Sundays, you can join the chat room, and it's you're usually there. I get exactly sad when you're not there.
Well, I try to be there as much as possible. Here more during the winter hours, because I don't have to go mow on Sundays. So
yeah.
I try to be there, and I try to talk with the listeners there. You'll get the people that are normally there. Jeffrey, call out for you. She who shall not be named.
Mm-hmm.
She'll be there. Mr. Chicago, Chow, everybody. I'm going to be pimping this on the next Sunday's radio show, so hopefully we'll have it out on Monday as that. But anyways, like I said, please go to strangefrequenciesradio.net. Let all of you go there and just listen. Just give it a shot. Just go to the last one. Go to the last 4. Give it a shot and listen to Bobby. Hopefully Bobby can get Jason to come do an interview, even though Jason doesn't do interviews. But hopefully he can muscle him into coming on here and giving his own particular take on the other side of strangefrequenciesradio.net. And for everyone else, have a wonderful evening, and I love you, and good night.
Good night.
Are you interested in honest and open perspective and discussion? Do you enjoy hearing people challenge the status quo, even if it means examining the bumps and bruises of the free thought community? Do the reverberations of the echo chamber make everything you hear sound trite and jaded? Are you ready for a show that dares to hold all people up to the light, to examine our biases and blind spots? Are you a humanist? Then the Q might be for you. Come check out the secular safe space for critical thought, cross-examination, and a caring ear, where it's humanism first, secularism always, and where I really don't give a shit if you're an atheist or not. Come join the conversation by searching for The Q on iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever aggregator you use, but be warned, I've taken the padding off the sharp corners.